Julia had just set the table for two, roasted chicken, his favorite. She lit the candles. The wine was breathing. Their 10th anniversary was tomorrow, and she wanted everything perfect when he got back. But James never came home. He boarded a flight at 3:14 p.m. And by 6 o'clock the plane had vanished. No distress signal. No wreckage. No explanation. They told her it crashed. They told her everyone was gone. But 5 days later, on a night she couldn't sleep, Julia opened an anonymous email. It was a single PDF. A scanned passenger list. She zoomed in to find his name. But it wasn't there. And what she found instead made her drop the glass in her hand. It was supposed to be a quick business trip. Boston to Denver. James had taken that route a dozen times. Julia remembered standing by the terminal window, waving as his plane taxied out. He smiled at her one last time before disappearing behind the glass. 3 hours later she got a call that changed her life. Mrs. Holloway. Flight 347 has gone off radar. We're currently investigating. At first she thought it was a joke. Or a mistake. But as hours passed it became real. Search teams were dispatched. The news looped on every screen. Flight 347 missing over Rockies. Julia clung to hope. Maybe they landed somewhere remote. Maybe he was alive, hurt, waiting for rescue. But hours turned into days. Wreckage was never found. No black box. No bodies. Nothing. The official report was vague. Presumed crash due to navigational failure in mountainous terrain. The airline offered condolences. Officials asked her to begin accepting the reality. But Julia couldn't let go. Something felt unfinished. For 5 days, Julia lived in a state between hope and horror. She barely slept. She stopped eating. She stared at the front door, half expecting James to walk through it. But she also scoured online forums, talked to retired pilots, dug into aviation codes. Everyone told her the same thing. If there's no debris, something's being covered up. Then, on the fifth night, at 2:13 a.m., an anonymous email appeared in her inbox. Just a file attachment, passenger manifest _347.pdf. Her heart pounded as she opened it. There were 184 names listed. She scrolled slowly until she got to H. No Holloway James. She checked again. And again. He wasn't on the list. But just below where his name should have been there was something odd. A single entry. John Halbert, seat 14C, Choveride/Reckonon. Julia's fingers trembled. That wasn't his name. But that was his seat. Desperate for answers, Julia drove through the night to meet Rick Vasquez, a former NTSB investigator turned whistleblower she'd found through a dark aviation forum. Rick studied the manifest. "This usage override note?" he muttered. "That's not standard. This means someone manually edited the log after takeoff." "You think someone erased James's name?" Julia asked. Rick looked at her. "Or replaced it." Julia showed him James's boarding pass. Seat 14C. Rick ran the barcode through a secure database. Then frowned. "This isn't tied to Holloway," he whispered. "This is linked to a restricted clearance ID." Julia felt the floor shift beneath her. "What does that mean?" "It means your husband may have had another identity." Julia returned home and tore through everything James left behind. Files, drawers, receipts, his laptop. She hacked into a hidden folder labeled July Contracts. Inside, fake IDs. Encrypted documents. A memo stamped with an unfamiliar federal seal. Subject: Temporary Identity Clearance, Holloway James, codename Halbert. Julia stared at the screen, speechless. It wasn't just a business trip. James was on an undercover mission. With Rick's help, Julia traced the final data packets from Flight 347. Just before radar contact was lost, the plane veered northwest. "That's not toward Denver," Rick noted. "That's toward Montana and a restricted area called Zone 8. Julia investigated further. Zone 8 was listed as decommissioned. But new satellite images showed activity. Vehicles, fencing, a private runway. Julia wrote a letter by hand. No threats. No demands. Just 6 words. 14C is still waiting for him. She mailed it to the address connected to Zone 8's parent company. 3 days later, a new email arrived. No sender. No subject. Just one image. A man in a security uniform, walking behind a chain-link fence. He looked older, tired, bearded, but unmistakably, it was James. Alive. Julia never showed anyone the photo. She never replied to the email. Some truths, she realized, are kept buried for reasons beyond understanding. But she stopped setting the table for two. She let the candles burn out. And sometimes at 2:13 a.m. she still checks her inbox. Because someone out there wanted her to know. He didn't crash. He disappeared. For a reason. And that reason is something she's still unraveling. But the trail hasn't gone cold. It's only just begun. Subscribe to uncover the truth behind James's vanishing and the secret hidden in Zone 8.